Morning, ninth graders. I'm going to talk about one of his authors that in your poetry that you are reading, and that would be Emily Dickinson. And one of the things about Emily is she was born in New England, and she was one of our most memorable poets. Her contemporaries were the Brownings, Keats, and Walt Whitman. And all of those, for a woman to be a poet, would be something that she could have definitely done. Now, because she was born in December in Amherst, Massachusetts, she was able to attend what they call the Mount Holyoke Female Seminary, so all girls school in South Hadley, but only for a year. Her father, Edward Dickinson, was actively involved in state and national politics. He served in Congress for one term, and her brother, Austin, attended law school and became an attorney. So education was very important in the family of Emily Dickinson. She lived next, and he also became and he lived next door with his wife, Susan Gilbert, so her family was very close. Dickinson's younger sister, Lavinia, also lived at home, and she and Austin were intellectual companions for Dickinson most of her life. Now, her poetry was heavily influenced by what they call the metaphysical poets of the 17th century, as well as her reading of the Book of Revelation, very religious, and her upbringing in a Puritan New England town, who encouraged Calvinist, Orthodox, and conservative approach to Christianity, although very Protestant. She admired the poetry of Robert and Elizabeth Barrett Browning. She also read Keats, though she was dissuaded from reading the verse of her contemporary Walt Whitman, What a Shame, by rumors of disgracefulness. And the two poets are now connected by a distinguishing place where they hold founders of uniquely American poetic voice. Dickinson was extremely prolific as a poet. A lot of her poets are simple but beautiful, regularly enclosed poems and letters to friends when she did that. That would be like a very special gift when she did that. She was not publicly recognized during her lifetime. It's not until after her death that everything was published posthumously in 1890, and the last one in 1955. She died in 1886. Again, a few years following our Civil War. Upon her death, Dickinson's family discovered about 40 handbound volumes of about 1,800 poems, and that is absolutely amazing. Now I'm going to pull to one of her poems, and this is one of my favorites. This is called Because I Could Not Stop for Death, and it's very short, but very good. And it's called Because I Could Not Stop for Death. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held, but just ourselves and immortality. We drove, we slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too for his civility. He passed the school where children strove, at recess in the ring. He passed the fields of gazing grain, we passed the setting sun. Or rather, he passed us. The dews drew quivering and chill, for only gossamer, my gown, my tippet, only tulle. We paused before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice in the ground. And since then 'tis centuries, and yet feel shorter than the day. I first surmised the horses' heads were toward eternity. Emily Dickinson, our poet for this week.